Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. Coming soon, I'll be launching my membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link, or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 185. Today's working title is Move First, Motivate Later: How Action Creates Momentum. So this week is another installment of You Asked About It, Let's Talk About It. Very often at my presentations, participants will stop me afterwards and ask how to get motivated, how to find motivation, how to stay motivated. Can you empathize? Yeah, me too. And I get it. Yes, this is a struggle for all of us, even me some days, and certainly for the people that I work with. So one of the last deep subjects that my dad and I talked about is motivation. We discussed that folks don't always start a task motivated. You get up, you put on your shoes, and you walk out the door and you take your walk. I know that doesn't work for everyone, and I respect that, but it works for many of us. We start because we have to, but we might not yet be motivated. And let's define motivation here. Per Webster, there were a number of different definitions, but the one I'm going to go with is the condition of being eager to act or work. That's motivation. So sometimes we are eager and motivated, and that's great, but sometimes we start because we have to. For example, I recorded this content to turn into today's article and episode at 3:30 on a Monday while driving to Wisconsin to check on my middle son's apartment. Was I motivated? No. I don't need to be motivated to be eager and willing to make that happen. It was just on my list. I have responsibilities to other people that I take seriously. If it weren't for the fact that I took action a few months ago and promised this son that I would check on his apartment while he was in Minnesota for the summer, I would not have been driving to Kenosha on a Monday afternoon. So I guess at the heart of it, I was motivated by my love and commitment to my son, but why that day, right? So we don't always start out motivated. In this example, I started with, I promised I would check on his mail and apartment while he's gone, and we are going to see him on Friday, so there was some urgency, and I could check on things this week in case there's mail for him. There wasn't, but that's okay. I don't regret that at all, the offer, because that is exactly what I was supposed to be doing. I don't consider any of those things needing motivation. It's just on the list. We don't always start motivated, but we find motivation, or we get motivated as we take action, as we move. Motivation to act rarely comes while sitting still. I drove to Wisconsin because I took action and I said I would do so. However, I was motivated, eager, and willing to make it happen on that Monday. The commitment was months ago, but the motivation, the eagerness came when I decided to do it that day. And once I decided on the day, I realized I could tack a couple other errands onto that road trip and make it even more impactful. And I knew I needed to do it. I decided that Monday was the day, And then I got myself ready to go. I moved, I was motivated, and then I was building momentum, which keeps us going, right? So imagine with me that Monday afternoon, now I have momentum. The bag was packed, there's gas in my tank, my son's apartment key was in my bag. The schedule was arranged for that block of time on that Monday. I mean, why on earth wouldn't I go at that point? Of course I'm going to go. And that is momentum. And since we're being scientific today, in addition to psychological, do you know about inertia? So inertia is Newton's first law. It's a law of physics. Now that I'm being all physics-ish, now that is a different son. My youngest is finishing his physics education degree and student teaching in the fall. Both of my sons today, I guess. However, inertia is a property of matter where an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion remains in motion unless acted on by an outside force. If we rest, we stay at rest. But if we can overcome standing still, if we can start moving, then it is easier to keep moving. Movement, motivation, and momentum. So momentum does not make us take the first step, but because of inertia, it can keep us going. We don't start out motivated some days. We commit to something because we love it, or because we must, or because the uncomfortableness of not doing it has gotten to a point where we have to do something. And if that hasn't happened yet, then that hasn't happened yet, and we don't start. We don't start out motivated. We start and then we get motivated. And once we get motivated and start to make progress, then we gain momentum. And momentum keeps the ball rolling, keeps us making progress. So inertia, in this case, is working in the favor of progress. So now that we've started moving, the problem is only when we stop moving. If we keep moving, the momentum itself, even if we aren't, actively pushing, even if our efforts are misguided or chaotic, we're still going to make progress because momentum will keep us moving. We might not be motivated, again, the eager and willing definition of motivated, to go to the gym or make healthy choices, but we start them anyway because the doctor told us so. And we make it easier to go by leaving our workout clothes ready for us to put on every morning, or signing up for a gym membership, or finding a cycling class you love, or a Pilates studio near your home. And all those things help you to feel then motivated, the eager and willing definition. And once we're motivated and doing the work, we find it easier to keep going, to go more regularly, because we might even realize we enjoy it. I want for you and for me to have intentional movement, intentional action, working towards your goal, working towards making things happen that you want to make happen. But without action, we don't find motivation. If we are waiting for motivation to strike before we act, we may never act. Years ago, a client said she was waiting for the morning that she would wake up and she would feel like organizing, that she would hop out of bed and that would be the day that she would get her life in order. She was waiting for motivation to come first. But then I asked the question, has that ever once happened in your life before this point? And she said, no. So we need to learn from experience. Experience needs to win out over optimism. If our experience, like this client's, is that never once in our lives have we ever hopped out of bed on a random Thursday and said, ooh, today is the day I'm going to get organized, then we should not be expecting that trend to change unless we change it. This client was waiting for motivation to come instead of taking the first step, instead of enjoying the small successes which help build motivation, and then using momentum to continue to succeed. Taking action, it's not all or nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect. But that first step, deciding that we want to get that done and taking that first step, we move first and then we find motivation. Here's another example. I have a project to complete. I created a new presentation, Clutter 2.0, and I want to send an email to all the libraries where I've presented to tell them about the new program and get on their schedule for fall. This is an item on my to-do list. I have the email composed. I can look at my notes for the libraries where I've presented before. I'm not going to wait for the motivation, the eagerness, the willingness to arrive before I act. Motivation might not come until I open my document of all the presentations I've ever given and look at those places that I want to send the email to. The risk of hearing no thank you could slow down my momentum, but I am confident that at least some will say yes, please. But I know that when I open that document of all the places, I am going to feel excited to send that email. I'm very proud of the new presentation that I made. Once I send that first email message and pat myself on the back and probably do a little happy dance, I'm going to copy that first sent email into a new message, and I'm going to send another email and another. And that is how we build momentum. So we have those first tastes of success. We find motivation to do the work and also to keep it going. And then momentum helps us to keep it going. But we don't start out motivated some days. And if we wait until we're motivated to do something, we may never do it. We move, we find motivation, we gain momentum, and we succeed. And then maybe you can do a happy dance too. So to recap, movement leads to small successes, which help us gain motivation. Motivation is that eagerness, that willingness to do something. And motivation leads to even more successes, which provide momentum. Momentum keeps us going, especially because we know that a body in motion stays in motion. So we continue to have successes. Sometimes we don't start out motivated. We have to move, and the motivation, the eagerness and willingness will hopefully come. And once we start to make progress, momentum will continue to move us towards our goals. Support around getting things done is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you next week.